Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, we just go.
Give it a big clap. Hang on. Do it so you're in both frames.
Yeah, hang on.
There we
Did
go.
that pick it up? Yep, good.
All right, let's go with the corny music and we'll get rolling. Righto, everybody. Welcome to the first ever episode of the Glass Cage podcast. I am JH.
Oh, I'm George, yeah.
And we are cousins.
Yeah, amongst other things. First and foremost. I wouldn't have said this is a cousins podcast. I would have probably led with we're farmers that happen to be cousins at the same time. We've always been cousins, arguably always been farmers, but, well.
Not always. I mean, I wasn't here for a year and a day.
Yeah, and I mean,
A year, a month and a day.
I was a child for a little while.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. But anyway, this is an ag-related podcast that we have decided to do just to get out there and talk all topics ag, everything ag.
I like how you said related.
I mean, it could be loosely related to ag. We can talk about other things. We could be a beer testing.
We could be. I mean, this beer is testing you. So.
get different beers sent in and we test them.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing quite like going 16 days without a beer and then having your cousin come over to start a podcast and crack one in front of you.
I've decided to do Dry July for some reason, and I'm 16 days in.
That's a very brave move considering your birthday's in July.
I know.
Some would say that's just outright stupid.
You know what? I reckon I'll probably get 23 days.
Well, that's, yeah.
Before I need a drink.
Need a drink.
What? No.
That's some troublesome language right there.
Righto. So, we are farmers. I've always lived on a farm. Our farms are 30 k's apart, you'd probably say. And we're also across the road from each other in one of the blocks. You haven't always been on the farm. You guys moved away.
Yeah, yep. We moved away 2000, I think. 2000.
Yep.
So that was just after. When was the Maryland 2 split? Was that 99 or 2000?
I got no idea. We were all kids then.
Yeah. Well, that's when we went up to Perth for school, and Mum and Dad went mining.
Because your dad was heavily involved in mines.
Yep.
So my dad took on the manager role of both farms for quite a long time.
Yeah.
And you've got you've got two older siblings, one younger sibling.
Yep. I'm in the middle of the middle.
You are.
Some problems there. Yeah. No, we so Mum and Dad went it started in the late 80s, I think. Dad getting involved in the mine site that's at Clare Downs, so the home farm.
The vermiculite mine?
Yep. And I'd have to find out the full story, but basically he helped build the mine shed there, so the operating plant, and some other bits and pieces. And then that company took on a site in Alice Springs, or out of Alice Springs near Tennant Creek. And Mum and Dad got involved in the construction of that. And then from there, French multinational company bought that company out, and Dad stuck with vermiculite and landed in Zimbabwe and a little bit in China.
Yeah. Your dad's been very well travelled in that regard. So you've got an older brother, Tom. He came back to the farm. Basically, he did uni.
Yeah. So he finished school, did his TEE, ATAR, I think is what it's called now. Did his university entrance, went to Murdoch for one semester, maybe 2 semesters in renewable energy.
Yep.
And said that was a bunch of hippies sitting around in a circle talking about how they're going to change the world and not actually talking about electronics and renewable energy, which is what his interest was.
Yep.
And then, did uni at Muresk and then came back to the farm to Tom's Brook. Oh, sorry.
First he worked for Bill Crabtree.
Yeah, did
No-till Bill.
Yeah, did 1 year. I think he did 1 year, maybe a little bit longer.
Selling seed hawks, I believe.
Yep, seed hawks and agronomy. And then came back to the farm. Can't remember exactly when, but he was, I'm going to say, that could only be 5 years at max after the end of school.
Yeah, yep. So then in 2012 is when Tom decided he wanted to go by himself and, split the businesses. So that's when Thomas Brook became Thomas Brook, Clare Downs became Clare Downs, separately trading. And then at that stage you were still at uni, I believe.
Yep. So 2012 I was finishing up my ag business, and then 2013 I was at Elders in Katanning for 1 year.
Yep. And then you decided to come back to the farm.
Yep. Yeah, we bought the tree farm, and
yes. Yep.
that was when sat down and said, "Oh, well, we need to clear it. Do you want to come back?" And I was like, "Yep, I'll come back." And I was enjoying my time at Elders, but it was I'm not an agronomist.
You'd much rather be the one out there spraying than the one telling them what to spray.
Yeah, I reckon. Given if I'd had 5 years under my belt of actually spraying and then went and did agronomy, I reckon I would have been a lot better as an agronomist. But fresh off the boat, you're learning so much all the time. That first year, it's like an extension of the degree.
Yes.
You're basically just an apprentice
thrown in a deep end, and
You got a lot of like really good people there, like a really strong agronomy team and a lot of support. But it's just sort of, when you get the opportunity to go back and push trees over and get farming and do some, pioneer new land stuff, there's not many people that would pass that up.
No. I mean, I would, but so you've also got a younger brother.
Yeah, I do. Yep,
and
thorn in the side.
Yeah. Now he did uni the same time as you. You guys were both in the same year.
Yeah, so, yeah.
And then he ventured off. He went elsewhere.
Yeah, he went off to do precision ag with John Deere in Perth. Then moved to Ballarat, I think, first off. So he was over there with John Deere as a precision ag specialist for a little while.
So what drew him back to the farm?
I'm not really sure.
You sure it's not the 1,000,000 acres of stuff that you've got up north?
Yeah, I mean that could be a little bit of a draw card. I don't think he knew the front end from the back end of a cow when he came back, but the adventure of going up to the station. He'd been up there once before when we were doing the due diligence on a handful of the stations.
Yep.
And he decided, time to come home. So came back from over east with a wife and.
Yes, he did.
Well, fiancé
at the time.
It was pretty short hop in WA before she was a wife.
It was, yes, yep.
And Jack's always loved everything about being up and being alone.
Yes, very isolated up there at the station. Now, for most of you probably know that that's Jack Out the Back. He's got a YouTube channel that he showcases all the stuff he's doing out there. Some people comment quite a lot that there's not actually any cattle up there because they don't do any cattle work.
Yeah, there's no cattle up there. They just round them up once a year and bring them down to Clare Downs.
Yes. So obviously up there is a cattle station.
Yes.
And then down here you guys are mixed.
Yeah. So cattle station up there. Never had sheep up there. So there was never sheep there in the history of the station.
Yep.
So cattle come down to us into a couple of permanent pasture paddocks. So we've got two areas that are just not suited to cropping. It used to be...
Waterlogging?
Yeah, waterlogging predominantly. 100% of the time. It's just... We'd get a crop off every second year, basically.
Yep.
So, put them into permanent pasture. One of those is the tree block. So that's down at Coolum Bidjup,
yes,
the coast. We've got a small, like a backgrounding lot that we feed silage out. So when we need to bulk up, get bulk feed into them, we can put them into the confined feeding.
So how many head of cattle do you guys have in that feedlot?
At the moment,
Or what's capacity?
499.
Is that because the 500th didn't make it off the truck? Or?
No, it's it varies depending on the size of the cattle. It's like 300 to 400.
Yep.
It's you don't want to pack it too tight.
No,
It's same as any confined feeding.
Yeah.
You just got to keep it at that happy medium.
Yep.
At the moment there's only 3 pens. The fourth pen has got maybe 10 head in it, but they're going down to the pasture because they're just too small.
Yep. So well, I suppose that's a brief history of you and what you're doing, where you've come from.
Yeah.
Myself, I am a year younger than you.
1 year, 1 month, 1 day.
And when I left school, I came straight back home. I didn't do TE, so I had to do a bridging course to get into Muresk.
So same as me. Yeah.
Did you?
Didn't do
Oh,
TE.
yes, no, that's right. You did the bridging course.
Did bridging course, yeah.
So I took a gap year with a bridging course in between, and I was straight thrown onto a boom spray at 17 years old, the old tug-along Sonic. I actually got a new tractor, which was quite nice. I had the 8430 John Deere.
Perfect.
Tom was in Bambi, the 8410.
Head crusher.
Yeah. But he had the newer Sonic, so that's how it worked out. I got the old Sonic, he got the new Sonic.
Yeah, trades out. That works.
So anyway, I went to Muresk as well. I was the year above you at Muresk, but I ended up only doing 1.5 years because I tended to fail a few subjects. If anyone knows Muresk and the history of Muresk, a lot of successful people have come out there, but there's also a bar on site. And I was probably a little bit too focused on the bar and probably too focused on getting a wife because I came back from uni with with a girlfriend, but ended up being a wife in the end. So I came back to the farm in 2010, August 2010, been here ever since. And I do have a younger brother. I've got David, 1 year younger, but he is no interest in the farm. So I guess in a farming scenario where you've got brothers, it's probably the most ideal situation.
Yeah, for succession it can be tricky.
Yes.
But it's, I guess operationally it'd make it a lot easier.
It would, but the land prices are getting up here. It's a bit hard for people to expand their farms.
How far is this going?
So yes, I came back to the farm and I've been here ever since. I was just a boom spray driver and a header operator essentially. That's what I did. And then I slowly started to take on more managerial roles.
Yep.
I ended up getting someone to drive the boom spray for me and I started to run the ground of the boom spray. For the spraying side of things, and then I eventually put Dad into a header, and I went on the ground so I could, try and manage from the ground. And it's been hot and dusty, and I'd much rather the air-conditioned cab with a nice big fridge. But
I'm sure your old boy thinks the same.
He loves it.
He's done his hard yards.
Yeah, exactly. He loves being on the header on a good year.
Yeah,
Well, it's pretty depressing when you put him on a bad year.
Yeah, but even on a bad year, at least you're in the aircon.
Yeah, but he always calls me up. Oh. So yes, I guess that's our sort of brief history of you and me. And we thought we'd try and do a podcast related around ag. And
well, I guess it stems basically from your YouTube. You've always had an interest in doing this sort of stuff.
Yeah. So obviously this will be an audio podcast, but also a visual podcast. We've got cameras up at the moment. And this will be thrown up onto the Tom's Brook Farm YouTube channel where you can watch us.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be better to just listen to us.
Or not even listen. Just put us on in the background.
Yeah. Well, yes. So why have we... Well, did we even say what the name of the podcast was? I don't think we did.
I think you might have said Glass Cage.
But there you go. It's called the glass cage. Do you want to tell the history behind that?
I guess just every tractor cab, every header cab is physically a glass cage.
It is, yep.
It's stems from everyone's probably familiar with Will Ferrell.
An Anchorman.
Anchorman. He sits in the phone booth and screams that he's in a glass cage of emotion. I think you and I have both definitely felt that way before.
I've definitely screamed inside of my sprayer cab, header cab, tractor cab, whatever it is.
Yeah, I did it yesterday. Just needed to scream. So I just climbed up it just felt natural. So you just need to have a scream, get in the tractor, have a scream.
So we thought it was the best name for we toyed of the idea of a podcast when we were very young.
Yeah.
And we thought we'd call it the glass cage back then. Now, when I say very young, I reckon our younger brothers were 18, I was 19, you were 20.
Yeah, that's when we were all still working and farming together.
Yep.
Yeah. All doing harvests together.
Yeah.
4 glass cages. Lots of emotions.
Lots of emotions. lots of text to ABC Drive.
I think I'm still banned. I haven't changed my phone number in that many years. I think I still flow up on a list.
To the fact that I think Dad banned us from talking on the two-way unless it was farm related because we were just texting into the drive show and seeing what we could get up, and then we would after everyone listened to it on the radio, the AM radio that is, we'd talk about it on the old
on the two-way. That's, I mean, if you put 4. I'm going to say teenagers because
we were.
Well, I mean, even now we still act like it.
Yeah.
If you put 4 teenagers in a confined space, they're going to do some stupid stuff.
Who can all drink as well.
Yeah, not on the job.
Not on the job, of course. Of course, not on the job.
That was I mean, got a kick out of seeing what you could get read out in the ABC text line. It's good fun. I think this is before social media. This is like just.
I mean, we all had Facebook.
Well, but you didn't have it in the tractor with it. All you had was a Nokia that could
flip
text.
Phone or
Like, so there was nothing like. You had your iPod loaded up with music. You had the AM radio with people that you could interact with and possibly mess with.
I think Jack was the only one to win. He got an actual like stubby holder and stickers and stuff from.
I've won 1 or 2 quizzes by Googling and they know it's happening. But that was they'd ask if you wanted to what artist you wanted to play like as the feature artist that next week.
Yep.
And so if you got on there and you said Cannibal Corpse, they're like, can you choose someone not like that?
Like ABBA maybe?
We're just going to choose ABBA for you. There it goes.
No, I think you've had a few crackers been read out, but the one that always sticks with me was the Guarding show. I can't remember the lady's name, but you text in saying that your Annuello wheat wasn't performing as well on the sandy gravel hills in the header. And she got a bit lost, and then she goes, I think you better contact your agronomist there, George.
I mean, if you're going to it's like this shotgun approach, if you're just going to send out 1,000 text messages and hope that one lands, that was the one that landed.
Yeah, and then on comes Barbara talking about her roses are getting a bit brown around the edges and what she should do. It was good times, good fun. I mean, I reckon that was probably the most fun harvests was when all 4 of us were on the header. Yes, yeah, no, it definitely was.
Most stressful for your dad.
I think we nearly broke Dad a couple of times. The 4 of us, like you said, we're all kids, so
yeah,
we might act responsible when we're all separate, but when we're all together, it just
1 boy's a boy, 2 boys are half a boy, 3 boys no boy at all, 4 boys forget about it. You just may as well throw a match in the middle of the paddock and hope for the best.
Now on that, not the match, but the we're all in headers and chasers.
Yes.
What's your preference?
Always a header. At the moment, now, it's always a header. Yeah, like you're the star of the show.
We always used to have this debate because we had 4 headers and we had 2 chaser bins.
Yeah.
And it was, I believe, Andrea was driving one of the headers. That's Tom's wife, your brother. And then me, you, and then the other header was sort of a floater. That's 4. Yeah, so that ended up being David, I believe. And it ended up with Jack in the chaser bin.
Yeah.
Which would...
he'd flick in between
header and those guys would swap because they're the youngest. And I mean, as we were all growing up, we'd always want to get on the header.
Yeah.
But we're never allowed.
Yeah.
And back then it was a big operation and you got kids.
Yeah.
We were always allowed the chaser bin. And we had the old wheelbarrow chaser bin, which was just the PDO turn on, and that did everything.
Still got that. Still use it every year.
Auger's permanently fixed. Yeah. And we that's where we started, always begging to get into a header. And then we finally got into the headers, and then that became the great debate of what's better, header or chaser bin.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're naturally going to say header.
Of course.
But, I mean, the argument from the chaser bin's perspective, I did my hard yards on the chaser. And I can see now when you started to step into like management position and when you want things to flow well in a paddock.
You put your best man on the chaser.
Yeah, a good chaser driver is worth their weight in gold.
100%.
Like they keep track of moisture, they keep track of where grain has gone, they keep track of who's empty, who's full, where they need to be. They keep the other chaser driver in line.
Yeah.
It's great. You see them, it's like 2 dogs. One's chasing after the other. And then they're chasing after you in the headers. But, I mean, it's like asking what's more important, the nut or the bolt. Without both, the ship's going to fall apart.
But then always the retort was the chase bin driver would say, well, without me, you can't operate. Now, that's sort of true for down here. We're all in bigger paddocks. We tend to have a central location for our field bins. But we'd always, as a header driver, retort, well, we'll just do it wheat belt style.
Just put it in the corner of the paddock and drive. And that's it. Just book it straight back. Yeah, I mean, it can be done. It has been done.
It has been done.
I mean, I have replaced a chaser bin with a header before when we were finishing off some trials and one of the headers had dropped off the front. Both chasers were tied up doing something. Called out the header. Came out stumpy style. No
You've obviously
header front
got
on.
long enough. That was when you had New Hollands, I'm assuming.
Yeah, but because he has no
Oil.
header front on. So he'd taken the header front off, ready to blow down, and I was just finishing off some trials. Both chaser bins were busy. And, out toodles his header and pulls up next. And I'm like, yeah, take that. Chaser bins don't need you.
I mean, you'd probably much rather use the other header for a...
Oh yeah,
job in
like
the
if
header,
you had
but-
crops to harvest, definitely. But it's like end of the paddock, end of the block. Yeah,
But so I drove a header essentially from when I got home from 17 all the way up until I was 30. And then that's when I jumped off. Yeah, so I jumped off. I've been on the ground only for 2 years. And I was getting bored of the header by the end of that.
You just need a stripper front.
No, it's more just the header's just, it's the same thing. It's down, turn around, come up.
Yeah.
Turn around, go down, turn around, stop, wait for the chaser bin. If the chaser bins aren't there,
Chaser drivers should get a better chaser
exactly, you got to get better chaser drivers. But a couple times when we've had like a chaser driver had been off sick or hurt themselves, I've had to jump into the chaser and upgrade someone else to the header, and I quite enjoy the chaser bin now.
Yeah. You got a race
don't
track.
get me wrong. If I could choose from the two, I'm going to jump in a header, but I don't mind the chaser bin.
Yeah, because you're just like racing out, race back, plenty of time to sit around.
Yeah, you can play it like a game. Like you want to make sure you're there, like right on time. They fold their auger out, boom, there you go. Get the next one, off you go. You're back there. You go unload.
So you got to try and explain that to the young guys guys and girls who are coming to drive a header, and then say, no, actually start in the chaser. It's heaps more fun.
Well, that's where we put George Summers, that is.
Yeah.
Because we've got Dad and Henry. They operate our headers.
Yeah.
And George is desperate for a header job.
Looking for a seat.
Yeah. And he got one this year because, well, last year I guess we call it, because we ran through Christmas.
Yep.
The first time since Felicity, my eldest, was born, we've gone late.
Yep. Yep.
So that's 7 years. So
yeah.
Henry had booked and finally went back to New Zealand for Christmas.
Yep.
And we made sure he did that because he came over here just before COVID lockdown happened.
Yeah.
And he's been here the whole time. He hasn't been able to get back at all.
Yeah.
So it's like, nah, you've got to go. And then George is just just rubbing his fingers like, yeah, Henry, like, no, I think you should. I think you should go.
New Zealand's beautiful this time of year.
You want to see your family. Like. And then it's the first time we've actually booked to go away for harvest. Like normally we have either Christmas. Normally we have either Christmas on the farm here or in Esperance, or when we're Rhiannon's family, it's at Lake Grace or Albany. And it was the first time we were like, well, her brother lives in Tasmania, so let's go to Tasmania. Booked everything, and then it started to rain.
And it's off.
And that harvest started getting longer and longer and longer. And then Dad was like, nah, you've got to go. It's only 1 year. Go. So then Dad was on the header. George was on the header. We had Beck, our chaser bin driver. And then Mum actually got put on a chaser. Pulled up. And she did well.
I've never seen that.
Mum's done a couple here and there.
Yeah. But in all of our years of harvesting, I guess there was enough of us.
There was enough
floating
of
around.
us. It was either us or mates or Kiwis.
That's really getting into the depths of the roster.
Yeah, it is.
That's a long harvest.
Yeah, yep. So then, when I got back and I got on the two-way, you on Channel George, he was like, yes, because obviously I came back, I jumped onto the header, he had to go down to the chaser bin, and Mum got to go home. So
this is like the waffle round for the Eagles.
Yeah. So no, it's definitely header is what is the most romanticised, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, it's because everything on YouTube's always about driving a header, and it's always the chaser driver sitting there eating snacks and filming the header driver. At the end of the day, one is literally just a wheelie bin being towed by a tractor.
Yes. Yeah.
Until they break, and then no one wants to be in a header. No one wants to be in a header.
The worst part of header driver was always clean up.
Oh, yeah. No, that really sucks.
It's always 30-something degrees, northerly winds.
Yeah.
And you get in there with the blower and you're just trying to blow it out, and chaff is going everywhere.
Yeah.
You've got the wet, mouldy stuff that's somehow been missed, and you're getting in there with your hands, and it's the worst 3 days of your life every year, I reckon.
I think you get off lightly if it's only 3. Most people just leave me, and I'm just left there with 2 headers to clean.
No, your second header
4
driver
header fronts.
Well, yes, but that's because you've got strippers and drapers.
Yeah, stripper fronts. Not just a farm full of strippers. It's Cascade, not Kalgoorlie, my friend. It does suck. Well, I think, clean up at the end of the year, like you can just accept it. You just say 3 days, 4 days. It's going to be
itchiness, yeah.
Yeah, you just walk in, go, that's how life is going to be.
Yeah.
When something breaks in the middle of barley and you've got to blow it down thoroughly to then get inside the machine to fix it, that's when you start really going, just flick it into gear, guys. just do me now.
You're like, chaser bin driver would be fine because then you're not having to help. But if we run 2 chasers and 2 headers, both of us.
Yeah.
Now, if one header's down, you don't need 2 chasers.
And the chaser driver gets in there.
The chaser driver's next to you. So
that is pretty bad. I don't feel bad saying get in here and help fix.
No, of course not. You're sweating and yelling and itching.
But I can see that if you don't get to drive it, that you'd just be hating on having to get inside.
If you're having to get inside and fix it. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. No, we had a doozy last year. Ripped the guts out of one of ours, or my machine. Had that out twice. Like chaff decks off, both sieves, deck, the whole lot out, forklift in the workshop twice. because I'm
4.
So the lower deck cracked out. What I saw happen was that one of the arms was broken at the back. One of the bolts was broken at the back of the lower shake pan.
Yeah.
But what had caused that, so we fixed that and then still had a vibration. Something wasn't right. And then we had to tear it all down again to replace the whole shaker pan. That was, so not only do you really need to look around when something's broken to see what's caused it, you really need to make sure that you've got a good crew of people to help you take the guts out, because that sucked. It honestly sucked. It was twice. Taking that machine apart
once
twice.
Is all right. You're like, okay, I've done that. I can tick that off my bucket list. I've seen the inside of a header. I know how it works now.
Oh, yeah.
It's all good.
I've seen it, fixed it, done it. Yep, that's job done.
But if you fix it, then you go for an hour and you're like, yeah, guys, this still isn't right.
I tell you what, I wasn't an hour. It was about 20 seconds and that glass cage was getting some screaming. It was bad. It was just front straight. Didn't even put it back in the deck, like put it back in the trailer, just straight on the deck in the corner of the paddock. And just silently turned down. I said, this thing's still 2A off, and just drove back to the workshop. Everyone was like, yeah, he's a pretty angry person at this point.
To be a fly in that glass cage would be...
man, it was even worse as I just filled it up with stuff as well, because I was like, it's shaking under load. It's going to come good.
Yes.
Just fix it. So put it under load. So I've
full.
just put a whole bunch of stuff back in.
You got to go and blow it again.
No, I didn't that time. I just put up with it.
I'll just itch.
Nah. So, I mean, that's harvest. Everyone's got harvest stories that suck.
That's it.
I mean, it was a good harvest, though. Yours was best on.
Best ever, yep.
Beat last year's,
Yep.
year before's.
Yep. No.
That's good. It's a ripper.
And prices were there to help us with that as well. So it made best on both fronts.
Yeah.
So,
That's brilliant. It was good.
yeah. So anyway, this is what the podcast is going to be like. Sort of each week we'll pick a topic. If you guys want to see us talk about something, send it in, and we will endeavour
commentary.
Yeah, we'll chat about it, and we'll have to set up an Instagram page or something so people can message us, and then we can post when we're going to be uploading things, and that way, we can interact with everybody and
Little bits and bobs
Yeah.
in between.
But
See if we get something more interesting than just talking about harvests gone by.
well, I think that's quite interesting. We could do a whole episode on that. We could.
Well, whatever floats your boat.
We could get people calling in to tell us doing voice messages telling us if they prefer header or chaser.
Yeah, something like that.
So we'll have to sort it out, guys. We'll sort all the socials out and get that all sorted. If you're still listening, thank you.
If you're not, then
Yeah, well, you're not going to hear it anyway, are you?
say whatever I like about you.
We're obviously finding our feet on how to host this and run this. So hopefully it's enjoyable. We're trying to make ag great again. But get it, all the other podcasts out there for ag are corporates, and it's
Seems that way.
it just seems very driven one way by whatever corporate is behind it. So we're not a corporate, we're two farmers, and we want to chat ag.
Yeah, I mean, I'm open to being like shilled out.
We'll talk about something for money.
Yeah, I'll talk about anything for money.
Anyway, everyone, thank you for listening, and we'll try and do one a week for, I guess, like a 10-week period, I guess, and then we'll call that a season, and we'll do it in seasons or something like that. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, see what happens. Something will happen or it won't.
That's it. Well, see you in the next one.
See ya.